people might see what we're talking about today and be like, I don't know, she was good in that Juneteenth, but that other thing, I don't know.
For years, Nicole Beharie has been bringing the characters to life who highlight the complexities of Black womanhood. She becomes these women. They're part of her. Earlier this summer, Sundance darling Miss Juneteenth arrived on video on demand at an uncanny time in American history. She led an impressive cast that includes Insecure's Kendrick Sampson, and now she's starring in Hulu's trippy, creepy anthology Monsterland, which is currently streaming. We chat. Nicole, I really love your choices, and I feel like the connective tissue is that you really choose characters that focus on the complexities of Black womanhood. Why is it that you gravitate towards the characters that you've given us over the years?
Well, thank you for saying that, first of all. And then, I grew up traveling as a child and seeing people throughout the diaspora and just in the United States and in West Africa and Jamaica and England. There were so many different things. And then when I would watch television or, commercials and things, I felt like we were represented in like a really narrow lens. So I gravitate towards like nuance and things that aren't necessarily written as the stereotype for Black gotta be, you know what I mean? Like we're not a monolithic thing. We're a lot of things like in ways that are just incredible and so beautiful. And I even feel like because of my own limitations, I haven't even been able to scratch the surface of that myself. So we just getting started.
Absolutely. Earlier this year when we were all allowed to be on the outside, I went to Sundance and I saw Miss Juneteenth. And I love that film and I loved you in it. And it really kind of plays into, I think, kind of what we know you best as in these types of characters that you really kind of bring to life for us. But what made you say yes to that project? It was a first-time director. And I thought she did a fantastic job. But what made that, a right project for Nicole Beharie?
Ooh, well, not the name. Man, I read the script. Channing Godfrey Peoples is the writer, director, creator of Miss Juneteenth. And we shot that a year ago in Texas, in Fort Worth, Texas. And I just read the script and I felt like I connected with these women, with not just the mother that I played. I played Turquoise Jones, who's like a mother struggling to provide a better life for her daughter, but also for the daughter, for the dreamer, for the person who's like bulking the assumptions in the system and wants to be herself. I felt like I haven't had the opportunity, but also I haven't felt like I've seen a lot of really tender moments and pieces that are character driven with Black audiences, Black, protagonists that allowed us to just be in the moment. You know what I mean? Like allow us to just see what's really happening with them without there being some big thing happening or it being in direct relation to some kind of injustice or the sort of white gaze. It was just about them, their community, and it was so specific to Channing's community, to what she loved. And I even though she was a first-time director, there's something special about and a challenge stepping into the world of someone else's real life and trying to embody that, a lot of responsibility. So I was sort of intrigued by that.
And obviously no one could have predicted it, but it came at a time when people were discovering Juneteenth for the first time, which I would imagine probably brought more eyeballs to the project. But what did it feel like for you to be, leading a cast at a time when everyone was really talking about Juneteenth and about revolution in a way that maybe we hadn't talked about before in this country?
When we shot that film a year ago, I never would have imagined that day would be sort of like the first Juneteenth that was nationally recognized. But it was bittersweet because it was on the heels of George Floyd's passing, and of this sort of bubbling up happening. So I don't know. I'm still I'm going to be honest with you, it was bittersweet because we're still in the thick of it. And Juneteenth, you know, if anyone doesn't know, is 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. The Union soldiers came down to Texas to let a remaining group of people know that were still enslaved, that they had in fact been freed. And I think that also mirrors kind of the moment that we're in, that we're, you know, freedom is coming a little late and coming doses, and we're reckoning with what that means, and how much of it we can claim and how we embody it. So yeah, it's bittersweet because I feel like we still ain't there.
Yeah, no, you're 1,000% correct about that. One of the things that I did love about that film was the reception, specifically the reception for you. I mean, the reviews were beyond favorable, and people really kind of went in about how great they thought the work that you did in that film was. Did those favorable reviews feel almost like a welcome back, or maybe even a validating moment? Because I definitely read about what you felt like your departure from Sleepy Hollow, you know, communicating with people in this industry. So did that feel like kind of like a trumpet of sorts saying, this woman has value, this woman is back, this woman is creating as she should be?
Ooh, look at you saying all this nice stuff. Oh my goodness. Well, I heard about reviews. I will say this. There's a quote from Maya Angelou. I actually saw her say it. She says, you know, I don't pick it up. I don't lay them down, you know? And I think my experience with the highs and the lows, the valley, the roller coaster of being creative, but also just being on this planet, I've learned that if I don't relish in any of it and just do my thing, I'm better off. Because, you know, some people might see what we're talking about today and be like, I don't know, she was good at that Juneteenth, but that other thing, I don't know. I can't, you know, I can't constrict myself. I'm glad that the film has gotten eyes, you know, for everyone's sake. It was wonderful working with Kendrick Sampson and Alexis Decasey and Channing Godfrey Peoples, and just the message that is. And of course, it's wonderful to be well received when you go down to Texas and do a little film that you're like, I don't know if anyone's going to see this, you know? So that's nice. But I don't personally get into it and read anything, because then when they say the next thing, I have to accept that too. Yeah.
I understand that, but that said, there are more good reviews on the way, because of course now you are in Monsterland with this trippy horror anthology series that you're doing for Hulu. Why did you say yes to this project?
Well, I had done genre, as you mentioned, with Sleepy Hollow and a little sci-fi and Black Mirror. Black Mirror was my first time doing anthology series, and I actually really love it. I love that sort of being a part of something. You get to be excited to every week you're going to get something a little bit different, you know. But doing a tiny little movie that's like condensed, you're in there, you're out. I just love that experience. And then when Hulu came around with this, I was like, this is interesting. It's fantasy, it's horror, but it's a really smart and different take. I think it's kind of sexy. And then the cast that they have across the board is not to be played with, you know. Like there's some cool people. There's some cool people in this. So I read it, and the character, I'm trying to find a way to like really talk about this without giving too much of it away, but the character is, I knew that she was a challenge and that it was going to be a lot to do in a very short amount of time. Like it feels like a movie, but we shot it like a TV show, you know? So I was like, let's take a look at this woman. And really I was exploring the theme of like shadows, you know, like what's lurking in the shadows. A lot of horror stuff is dealing with that, but not asking you to look at your own stuff.
Well, along those lines, I mean, what's like a role or a type of role that you would love to get that you haven't gotten yet? Because I know it's out there.
Where's the list? I'm gonna like rip out the scroll. Man, there's so many amazing women throughout history. I'm just obsessed with like you know, like Lorraine Hansberry, Betty Davis, Eartha Kitt, like some of those people, they're freedom fighters in West Africa, women who planted trees and came together as a collective. There's just so many interesting people out there and so many stories. I find inspiration in short stories as well. And then I'm writing with a group of people as well to create some things. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Now, writing, is that relatively a new thing for you? And are you doing that because you effectively want to write the stories that you want to see? Is that like a move that was made out of necessity?
Yeah, it's kind of like that Toni Morrison, right? A quote too. It's like, yeah, if you want to see it, you got to create it. One of them is just kind of pouring out and wants to be told. Even I'm like, I don't want it. It's like, you gotta do this. And I'm like, okay, I'll do that. Some of it is also just, like I said, learning other aspects of yourself, of like what you have available. So, and it's not, I'm not going to front, it's not all good. Like some of it is an exercise. And I'm like, Nicole, this is good. This is not going to get made, baby girl. Hope you know. But some other things may. You don't know.
Before I let you go, you know, I read something in an interview that you gave recently that I thought was so beautiful and thoughtful, that you said about your collaborator and friend, Chadwick Boseman, that really got me to thinking about what it is you would love for other people to maybe know about him that maybe people didn't know just by consuming the film and the work that he gave us while he was here.
It still doesn't feel real to me, to be honest. That's I feel like I can share stories about how, and everyone said it, about how present and generous and how beautiful a spirit he was. And also just like, didn't waste any time. It's like he was on a whole nother spaceship ahead of his time, you know. He was such a gentleman, never complained. And there were sometimes things to complain about, you know. Also knowing I've had health problems and been on set working or doing press, and I can't imagine the grace and the grit and determination and strength to think of other people ahead of yourself and the joy that you're bringing. Because I know I was definitely more petty and like, I'm tired and I'm trying to take care of my needs. So I wonder, like, I think about those things, but I feel like you can feel it in the work and in the intention to embody a hero from almost like every generation, to give everyone something. He's just an incredible person, and everything that he's done stays with us and has had a lasting impact. So I'm sorry, I'm getting a little tripped up on this one because I'm, you know, it's big. And then you have him right behind you. So it's like, you got the guy.
I know. And he's always been there too, ever since he gave that to me the day that the film opened. And I just always thought that was special. And so now, of course, it has an even more important meaning, I think, in the aftermath of whatever 2020 has now become for many of us.
Some people come in here and they give us, and they give so generously, and they really understand how beautiful it is to be here. He was just one of those people. And also, you know, I feel like Chadwick loved himself in a way. And you can feel it in the characters and the way he wants us to love ourselves, and his intentions. And, you know, following in retrospect, or what I want to take away from having had the honor of like working with him for that short amount of time, is, you know, is that sort of like, do you?
I love that. That was fantastic. Nicole Beharie, thank you so much. I appreciate you joining me today. This was great.
Thank you.
Coming up next on Another Act, Teyonah Parris.